Today we have Abhishek Dabas.
If you take this pill, you'll not be able to go back, just like Matrix. Because once you start on this journey, you will not be able to go back to your Monday to Friday job.
If you have to suggest something to people, they are like 12, 18 months into the business and they need money right now, what would be your 2 cents to them?
You should only raise money when it's really needed. Do not expect investor to solve the problems that you should be solving. It means investor means money. If your business is a place where certain things can be done without money, you should do them.
What things would you try to align before saying yes to an investor?
I don't find they find me. Inbound is much better than outbound. Anything.
So how to actually manage those expectations? Because a lot of times you would not be even reaching those milestones as promised.
Shouldn't take money from everyone. You have to be selective there. See what his life choices are and then take his money. Because morning, evening, you don't want that phone call. I think the biggest pivot is about being thick-skinned. Nothing beats that. If you can crack it, you can do what needs to be done. You have to be sort of shameless.
Hi, welcome to Pivot Point with Usha. Our today's guest has built one of the India's largest cargo EV fleet, raised 250 crores, and built a company from scratch for PETRONAS. This man has deployed more than 2,500 electric vehicles. He is an IIT Delhi and IIM Calcutta alum who did more than 500 residential rooftop systems in India and overseas. Please welcome Abhishek Dabas. Okay, so you have been a founder with zero capital and you have been a corporate CEO with PETRONAS with a huge checkbook there. So which version of you was more scared and why?
More scary?
Yeah.
Like it was scary for me, or which version of me was scary for other people? That's also a good question. But anyways, not zero capital. We raised the friends and family round once we started about 6 to 8 months into it. And then we didn't raise much because we didn't see the use of it. The market was getting sliced and diced. Government policies were changing a lot.
Yeah.
And, on the later aspect, of course, when Petronas was backing the EV venture, it was much easier. It had its own challenges. But I think, I have to say, when you have to really, think about the money, respect it, and kind of be lean about it, it's scary, but it grows you as a person. Scary is good. I think that's one thing I learned about it. That discipline is still with us. That discipline was still with me when I had enough money in the bank. You always kind of live with that respect for the money. You don't like it go waste, and it's not a burn to a level, and then so it changed me. I'm not a person who will follow burn strategy to grow a business, basically. So that's kind of, you have to have a path to profitability from the day one, and preferably be as close to profit as possible. It's not always possible, but yeah. So yeah,
Okay.
so not high, huge CAC costs. We'll figure it out later, kind of a thing for me.
So another thing is you are like already IIT Delhi and then IIT Calcutta. So
IIM Calcutta.
IIM Calcutta.
Yeah.
So everyone assumes that you have that golden ticket. Most of the founders that I talk to, a lot of them ask. A lot of investors actually prefer people from IIT and IIM tags. So how much do you think your success comes from those bits, or how much actually things that they never taught you but you learned while building businesses?
Okay, so I think it has to be seen two ways. A, it is one of the golden tickets if somebody really has to argue about it. A lot of people have different kind of golden tickets. My father could have a lot of money, and he could bankroll me. I could know other people. What happens when you go through good schools is you spend time with intelligent people who've done the grunt work, who's most likely, more often than not, come from middle class and below, and they have those aspirations. You hang out with those people and you learn. It's not about education. And then also over a period of time, you are friends with them. It's part of a network, and it kind of you'll say it screens. It's not like if you're from an IIM background that you'll get funding, but it could be hard because it's just like, getting a job. It's easier. Okay, there must be something, some baseline is clarified. At the same time, when I'm talking to people and when they crib about this, I always say, boss, if you know me, I'll introduce, you're, so there's more avenues than ever now to connect to people. Today, my
Yeah.
kids are growing up, and so you don't need to go to any college to do computer science, to do coding. You can establish yourself without that. So I don't think
Yeah.
that's a given. It helps, but not as much as people give it credit.
Understood.
So of course, if I have to go back and say Zolt, my friends and family investors are, of course, are, because that's the network. I can't do about it, right?
Yeah.
And when I'm getting a job, I knew this person from a friend that I knew from somewhere else, but that's where the connection. But this guy was not my batchmate or anything.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, if someone is definitely from that background or they have been with this group of people, they obviously help each other. So, do you think non-IIT
No.
founders, let's say, uh, if they do network in better way, will that help?
Yeah, see, the thing is, networking for networking sake doesn't help. You go with a specific reason and specific ask, you can reach out to anybody today. And you do your homework and okay, this guy knows this thing. I have this idea that he will like, do some research, and then reach out. There are chances that you'll get responded to. Networking events is like something, I don't know. Like, everybody wants to network, but where's the real value guy? He doesn't need to network, he's not there. So that
Yeah,
happens a lot of times. Also, also it's an excuse at the end of the day. It's an excuse among hundreds of excuses that we give each other, ourselves. Sorry, when we're going through a difficult phase, we're not see if your model has value, if your team has value, if yourself has your resilience, and you can showcase that. It's not difficult.
yeah.
And
So,
if only can't take you, now that you're in your 20s, you can't go back. Okay, feel free to, give a GMAT, get a crore plus loan on yourself and get a tag. I don't think
yeah,
tags are that important.
okay. So, going back to the times when you were just coming out of IIM,
Hmm.
um, what was in your like mind and your vision dreams, what you want to do next, and what you actually did?
So it was a couple of years. It's not directly out of it. A
Mm.
couple of years. I was working with Reliance. I was working the Show Clearland. And over a period of time, you realize that you have to do something. And at that point of time, I got really smitten away with the idea that, you can make money while being socially positive. So, you don't need to kind of profiteer capitalistic and then, donate to some charity, build a foundation or donate to a temple or anything. You can work in a socially positive industry and make some money at the same time. Like, not obscene amount of money, but a respectable amount of money. So that point of time, there were three things I was looking at: education, energy, of course, renewable energy specifically, and healthcare. Eventually, I dabbled a little with healthcare idea, and then but I found a good co-founder, and then I lead into renewable energy, and then we started Zolt together. So that was the thought process: be kind of socially positive, figure out, and you'll see that across what I keep trying to do. Like multiple ways of make money, even if you want to do something positive.
Got it. So, when you started with Reliance, as you said, and since you are coming with such prestigious degrees, so do you think
Already
people
डिग्रियों के पीछे
expected,
पड़े हो तुम.
so people expected like a lot from you, ki this guy is gonna change the game.
In corporate, no, it's kind of helps you get to a certain entry level, but then the role defines the job. So it's not like maybe somebody comes after 10 years because you come
Hmm.
from a good college, they'll you skip those 10 years. But when then the job, of
Yeah,
course, if degree or no degree, that person has to do the job. If he's not able to do the job, his ratings suffer, he's moved out. And since you mentioned the degree so much, let me tell you a very good example. A lot of times people, a lot of time covertly, but overtly also challenge you randomly. You are from IT, do this. Eh? And I've seen this,
Yeah.
especially with MBA, especially IIM guys do this to people who come home from abroad, who've done their MBAs from Wharton's, Kellogg's, and other schools.
Yeah.
They are more envious and jealous somehow, because I know a friend. She went back to the US. He just couldn't deal with it. It's like, if you have to kind of if there is a coterie of people, let's say in corporate world, they're from IIMs, and of course, and okay, controversy aside, IIMs not the best B schools in the world. IITs might be best engineering schools in the world, one of the best.
Yeah.
So there's this. So it's I think if the point I'm saying is there's always somebody better, right? And 10 years if into your work, 5 years, 2 years into your startup, or anyway, if you still have to lean into your history, your present is kind of really screwed up.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
matter, right? If you're kind of throwing credentials or nostalgia that I went here and there, or I
Yeah.
didn't, but if you focus on your work, I think that matters more. A lot of times, startup guys, since you're talking, a lot of times
Yeah.
your family, you'll see that they will start introducing you basis your history, not what you're doing right now.
Yes.
If let's say you're working as a, I don't know, program manager at Microsoft, they'll say, hey, he's a program management of Microsoft. Versus
Yeah.
he's building a software, then they'll say, hey, he did his electrical engineering from IIT Kanpur.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
he's building a startup. This. So these tags also have this nuance to it, and they can act as a filter. Your family is kind of very stressed out of what you're doing. They don't get it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So, when you joined Reliance, how was it? I heard really interesting stories that you worked there. So, would you like to share?
Yeah. Reliance was good. Reliance was. I was part of the ADAG group, Anil Ambani. Now, in hindsight, it's like close to 20 years back. It was growing across roads, metro, and other things.
Yeah.
What you learn, you also learn sort of. So I got this opportunity to be in the boardroom very early on. When you're in the boardroom, you see so many other people who, so to say, CEOs of businesses, and then
Yeah.
they're not really making those calls, and you know what their work style is. So
Yeah.
that kind of is a good thing that I got to see, in the sense that after some people might see after 25 years of work, they reach there and say, shit, this sucks.
Yeah.
So I could see that early on in two organizations how boardroom works, or how top tier works, and I didn't like it. I needed more agency with my life, so I thought might just well do something on my own. And you're getting such a good salary and position, or your name tag, position tag, I would say,
Yeah.
whatever it is. It's so difficult to leave that, and leave that for another similar job is kind of the same thing. So leave that is where you know that you have to just jump and kind of figure it out. You learn to swim. Otherwise, you'll just be there.
Yeah. Exactly. So, after that, when you actually thought about starting Zolt, which was into clean energy, and a lot of people were like in solar industry back then, most of the people were doing commercials, and you chose to do residential. So,
Yes.
what was the thought behind it? And it's like, we want to do residential.
How can something seem so plausible at the time and so idiotic in retrospect? So with that, like it's my favorite saying from Cullen and Hobbes. So it made perfect sense back then that you build this, you do good work, you build a brand, you directly sell to end customers. I don't love B2B. We've done B2B business where the customer can understands your value and pays the premium for the
Mm.
value. It's not like I'm going to fleece him and take 20% extra. I might be spending 50%, 15% more. So with B2C or you and I, if you're buying something, we really like the product, we understand we can pay the premium, it's discretionary, right? So with that
Yeah.
thought, and once you build a brand, so that was the thought behind it. I would not say I regret that thought per se.
Hmm.
What I do regret is not understanding how nascent that market was, or how government policy driven that market was, and how sliced and diced across the geographies market was. How the simplest and logical, the most logical of things were not being done by the government for unsaid reasons, I would say, and that's the just thing that happens. While the intent was great, we wanted to build something nice, and we did that. We had turned profitable before the policy changes kind of didn't kill us. We killed it. It's not worth it anymore. You can't keep sinking money to can't sink $40 to make $10. It's stupid. And then it also calls into question your integrity at times. How do you want to really get that 40 back and all that? So we didn't want to play that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was a good experience overall. Sorry. So my regrets you were asking,
Yeah.
or the
So,
thought process?
like the thought process why you chose
Yeah,
residential
so it
over.
was it was very interesting, very great problem statement. And to be fair, I am working on a similar problem statement, but with the benefit of that one experience, because the positives still remain. What I'm trying to build now, I
Yeah.
know if I deliver that value, I'll get the premium, I'll get the love. We got a lot of love from customers, and so yeah, and I'll be able to build it into a brand, but I'll have to also stay away, or if required, if necessarily lean into it without really feeling, very bad about it.
Yeah. So, running a solar company, how was the experience? Like, did you have to do fundraising a lot or running the team, the struggles of your running your first business?
That one you can answer, no? No, fundraising, we didn't raise a lot of money. And fundraising was okay. I like the forced discipline, what it taught us. Team wise, we ran on very utopian principles, which mellowed down over a period of time. We learned a lot about human behavior, human motivation, peer pressures, and all those things, not within the company, but across your social circle. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, the challenges were obviously to build the second layer, and which I see is a struggle with a lot of founders, not just people in their first, second, third year of operation. I recently met a batchmate with about 15 plus years. He's built this business across geographies, made decent amount of money,
Mhm.
and well, it's not that typical VC funded, or it might be funded, I don't know, but it's not like a raise money, raise money, raise money kind of business. But it's a respectably big size business,
Mhm.
and he's still struggling with the same problem: how to build a level two, a layer two, where you can actually delegate uh, without having to sweat about it. Because if you really have a really good guy, kind of you give them a decent growth trajectory to keep growing to his aspirations, and
Yeah.
it's not practical eventually. The kind of growth kind of starts making sense. It doesn't remain 100x, and then they maybe leave for greener pastures, start something on their own, and all that. And the other people, you just have to kind of make them work.
Yeah.
So that's also another learning in today's age of AI, so to say. I will not say age of AI, but AI does empower you as a founder to kind of run lean. So that's
Mm.
another learning. If I have to say, go back from the early days,
Yeah.
keep it as lean as possible. And I'm keeping it as I'm just single right now. I have a lot. Of course, that's a difference. If I was 25, today I'm 43. I have a lot of network. I can get a lot of things done without
Yeah.
hiring people in. If somebody's making a product, somebody's doing a PCB design, they can all happen
Yeah.
relevant to my work. But still, keep a lean structure from day one. A lot of people optimistically, especially when they raise their first pre-seed or seed, they overhire. And especially when growing, you keep hearing these stories that now they have to rationalize 20% of their workforce, 30% because they overhire. Everybody
Yeah.
starts as people are seen as real estate. The bigger your team is, the bigger it is. So without even the real need of people. So yeah, that discipline, the discipline of processes, a lot of time people start thinking of processes much later in the day when the culture is
Yeah.
already set in, and then you push process and see what happens. Nobody follows them. You're just adding their workload. They'll comply if you beat them with a stick. But
Hmm.
if from day one they see you doing the process, and the first 10 hires are following those process, then it becomes part of the company DNA.
Okay. That
Yeah,
that really makes sense. That really makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah. Otherwise, they'll just do their phone calls, never log on HubSpot, and you know where I'm going there. So let's move on.
Yeah. So
So
back then, the industry was pretty new for residential, and right now, do you see a shift in the whole mindset of people going solar right now?
yeah, of course, solar has become mainstream. If you typically follow that innovator's dilemma or the
Mm-hmm.
crossing the chasm kind of a thing, it's become a very easily speaking early majority kind of a problem. It's a no-brainer. The
Hmm.
government pushing it, and it's easy to do. Today we have about 30 lakh installations. So my 500, what do they count, right? Somebody might
Yeah.
must be doing them every month, Solar Square or somebody else. But it's very commoditized. It's not fun.
Yeah.
Yes, today SoloSquare is one of the bigger companies, and you see the theme and website. It's like they're fulfilling our dreams per se.
Yeah.
They started, I think, in the residential in 2019, if I'm not wrong. That's when we got up from the table.
Yeah.
But still tough work. That doesn't go away, and they're the biggest in India. But if you look at any geography, any district,
Hmm.
they're most likely not on the top. They will be in the top five because they have to charge a premium, and eventually people give their friendly local installer the order
Hmm.
because it is much cheaper. So that's the case. So yes, the customer mindset has changed, and but a new wave will come sooner than later, maybe 2 3 years when intelligence will have value. Today, solar is very Tom, Dick, and Harry kind of a product. You just
Yeah.
you put it, hit it, forget it. But trust me when I say this, and we can refer this back. The government will change tracks. The government does not follow the process of the policy properly, unlike I would say how the US did solar, or
Yeah.
not sure, but I'm kind of certain that Australia also followed the same thing. But now we are just everybody's going solar, but then there's a fundamental technical problem that only unlimited solar energy can be generated on a local level. It has to be consumed within the same premises. You cannot go more
Yeah.
than 20% penetration on a transformer. So if you reach there, you'll have to say, okay, stop, stop, stop. Then you're like, what? So Kerala already started doing that. They're saying, oh, we can't take more. You put it with batteries or something. You generate for
Hmm.
yourself, but we can't do that. And the government is also changing. And commercials are already changed. Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, you name it.
Yeah.
The government has basically taken a U-turn. You can say betrayed the early adopters of clean energy and changed the policy because they can't sustain it. They, and
Yeah.
it's not the writing was always on the wall. The writing was so obvious that the more developed nation are following it properly. But here we do it our way. We keep betraying our people for a period of time.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope they also learn from other governments soon.
No, no, no. So this is very important. Like since I said, expect betrayal on the policy front, expect betrayal from the tax authorities, and plan that into your business model. Right?
Hmm.
You could be punished for no reason, and as a you can say blue-eyed utopian startup founder, you feel bad. You get kind of depressed why this is happening in our country, but that's why it's happening. The structure is cute. So we can't change that. Over a period of time, things will change, of course, slow, but that's let that not handicap you. You will learn it the hard way, if not in your first startup, in the second one, if you come around to it.
Yeah. Okay. So uh, after solar, you went to Petronas, and what happened? how you started building, and I also know that you went from CEO to being CEO. So how did that journey
So,
happen?
so again, like be it degrees, what be it CXOs or COs and COs, they never really counted for much. In this case, it was mostly transactional, so to say. When basically two people were brought in, more like as co-founders, but
Okay.
it's a corporate, you have to get a tag. The other guy was elder, so he got the CEO, I got the CEO. COVID came, he chose to stay home in Mumbai, moved on. So I was the only one left, and so that's how. So it was not like I was a COO. I had a lot of kind of autonomy in terms.
Yeah.
The founders of Amplus, they had
Hmm.
given that much leeway to us, and they were focusing on the solo business. I was busy with that, but I had also had this mentor relationship with them.
Okay.
When I'm stuck, it's like a mentor. You can call it a or board member. Of course, there
Hmm.
was a board that you have to go and get your funding done and all that. But for day-to-day dilemmas and all that, I had a sounding board. So it was not. So it is not a COO or CEO kind of transition. But from scratch, yes, they had just started when I joined, like it as a test fleet, and we had to do a lot of hard work, especially during COVID.
Hmm.
A feather in the cap is we are doing essential services during COVID, so we got to go out, and we did some essential supplies basically, but nothing much
Yeah.
with our partners like Big Basket and all. So, but yeah, so it took us some time post COVID once the right electric vehicle models had come up. So this was again a zero to one journey, but with slightly deeper pockets and potentially unlimited pockets, right?
Okay.
So of course you're allocated a certain amount of funds, but if you do it right, you know that you'll get more money. So you don't have to kind of keep raising money that way. So you have to just keep that discipline. And it's also very important because all hear a lot of stories about investors being kept in the dark around things. Having a
Yeah.
corporate uh, investor, so to say, internal investments, is everything is transparent. So it kind of works for me much better. So there's nothing to
Okay.
hide. So there's no incentive to hide, and you just get on with the job.
Understood. So this was all related to EV from where you started because uh, right now EV market is all crazy. Everyone wants to be like few people wants to be in EV. A lot of them already are in EV.
So with see EVs, electric vehicles, charging infrastructure. Now there's the whole ecosystem around it. Somebody's making
Yeah.
components, somebody's making vehicles, somebody's importing cells, building batteries, somebody's running those vehicles, somebody's financing those vehicles.
Yeah.
And some of like I drive an EV, some of real true blue users of those vehicles, basically the use case. Now,
Hmm.
somebody wanting to enter that space, they have to see what they want to play with. It's not that simple as people think. If you want to, let's say, you make a component, that component has to be sold to an OEM. Why would they buy it?
Yeah.
If you build that component, go to a new product, why would the customers buy that new product? It's big challenges. Even when I was supporting, I could buy 5 vehicles of a new company, but I could buy 50 vehicles from Piaggio and Mahindra from day one because I know they come with their processes and quality control and all that.
Yeah.
So build that brand. Couple of so there are more dead bodies in the graveyard than people remember because there's a survivorship bias. And
Okay.
going back to the original jive on the IIT and IIM thing, a lot of people see that okay, IT guys are getting funded. Do you even know how many ITs guys don't get funded? Right.
Okay.
Similarly,
Hmm.
EV space, there's so many companies which has gone bankrupt today on the vehicle side. Leasing side, we are supporting a lot of new companies because the old school guys are not doing it. Early days, they don't want to do it for their own interest. So we are supporting a lot of new companies.
Okay.
We would lease out 4 vehicles, one would come back, and then we lease out again. So that's kind of churn you are seeing there. And some are good people, genuine people. Some were just there for the quick buck. So that also
Yeah.
happens a lot in new industries. Forget EVs, anything. A lot of crooks enter the play, and they spoil the game. It's like
Yeah.
they want to mess with the quality, they want to make a quick buck, but because nobody understands the real value of it, it's the time of uncertainty and lack of clarity that they kind of make their money and then run away, and then somebody else will make their money and run away, and you have to just have that staying power whenever you're building something for the long term. So
Yeah.
a friend of mine like said, the market can remain irrational longer than you can remain afloat. So I think that's also
Mm.
a focus, and where it comes into the lean structure, because you
Yeah.
might not be able to raise the next round. It all depends on, education for that matter, the kind of crazy money that was raised post COVID, and then where we
Yeah.
are in terms of educational startups. So,
Right. So with clean energies, uh, because this was into EV and other was into solar. So how does the business model of these two differ, or did you have to like do a lot of experiments and learning again?
so on a very fundamental level of a 0 to 1 journey is that be ready to do everything, like
Hmm.
everything. What you're not able to do, you shouldn't ask your team to also do it at times. But when we were building Zolt, we hired welders because the market was not providing welding at the right price.
Yeah.
They're asking a needless premium. So we said, today, of course, structures are standard, the price is stabilized, commoditized, there are multiple people. But early days, this always happens. So the same thing. If I had to put electric vehicles on the
Hmm.
road,
Yeah.
now I have to solution for that. I have to kind of, if they're not doing it, he's not doing it, then I'll have to do it. So initial days, we hired third-party agencies to drive these vehicles for us. We'd pay them.
Okay.
It was not a good revenue stack. In the end, you get paid last, you know,
Hmm.
because the manpower agencies working, if they're not incentivized right, they're not performing right, and eventually you get the balance. Then, but we had to do it. There's no other way. So literally, and it can be a trap. I'll come to the trap part later.
Hmm.
So and then we changed it when the market matured, both in Zolt and in this case.
Yeah.
We started outsourcing because we knew what needs to be done. We knew how much it costs, and similarly, we knew the performance and we know
Hmm.
what we want to make on our vehicles. So we started leasing those vehicles to third-party agencies or even individuals for that matter. So that's the
Okay.
commonality part of building it. The difference is, of course, one was like a premium service, I would say, product we're assembling and then installing it, and then taking the money from the customer. So so as selling solar with that kind of a thing, 2.5, 3 lakhs worth of product, which
Yeah.
they're not really seeing anybody do it. And on your word, on your some photographs, on your assurance, and then later on your sales teams words is a much more difficult task than having a vehicle and giving it for 10, 12,000, 14,000 rupees a month. See, try it if it works for you. So there's a lot of adoption power if you have the money to back up a good product.
Hmm.
And the trap is a lot of times the market is behaving nasty and you have pressure. They have to hit those sales numbers. I have to do 1,000.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of companies, and you see them all over the place, not just EV ecosystem, but they start becoming their own customers.
Hmm.
So it is a market entry approach. It is not a sustainable approach. Now, if Ola is making scooters and another Ola Mobility or whatever is using those scooters
Yeah.
to do deliveries, and that one is making a loss, well, this one is not making profit. But I'm saying, let's suppose it's not a clear picture, right?
Hmm.
And then and once the ball starts rolling, Usha, what happens is you get incentivized to play the system, and then you start raising more money. You start building that burn strategy. You have 10,000 vehicles who don't really work, which burn you 20 crores a month, and then you figure out might just buy a house in Camellias and be done with it, or maybe move to Dubai. You know whom I'm hinting at, but yeah.
Yeah. So
So
you spoke about clean energy and you have done fundraising. So if you have to suggest something to people who are building in solar, let's say they are like 12 to 18 months into the business. and they need money right now, what would be your 2 cents to them?
For raising investments,
Yeah. And when to raise
well,
it actually?
no, if they don't have money, they have to raise it, no? Or they have to, become leaner, let some people go, have some difficult conversations. Maybe read hard thing about hard things, especially the page on struggle. What the struggle is, and you come out of it, and all those things. But if you need money, you have to raise money. And if you have 12 to 18 months, you have to have something to show for. And it's not an idea anymore, which you can, sell with enthusiasm. There are some real numbers that you have. So slightly more difficult conversations.
Yeah.
But again, it's like any sales strategy, investments follow the same, hiring follows the same. You have to build a bigger funnel and then just keep qualifying your leads and then kind of try to turn them into an investor. So optimism doesn't help. Keeping a clear view on your burn numbers and just does help, so that stress doesn't help either. On both sides, you have to kind of keep a sane head, and you also have to somewhere don't attach yourself too much to fear of failure. It's okay. You're sitting here, you're part of that erstwhile company, right? And so many people, they're all doing fine at the end of the day. But we took a lot of stress back in the day.
Yeah.
So stress where it should be taken, it's your responsibility. But stress when you can't really control anything, when you've done your best, doesn't matter, right? So may God grant you the wisdom. Eventually, it will. So yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So
keep at it.
with the current, I mean, your Petronas in Gentari, do you call it Gentari or how do you
We call it. It's a Gentari Green Mobility India.
Gentari?
Gentari is a different brand name now.
Okay.
So yeah.
So Gentari is something that you built from scratch, and what was the idea? How many people?
So nothing is built from scratch. You can't make
Okay.
pasta from scratch. We are in an interconnected world, and we had some money.
Hmm.
There's some intent.
Okay.
There's some sign-offs initially to go
Hmm.
build it. So that's where I joined, because I also got paid
Hmm.
for that. It was not a founder thing, and it was a CEO role for that matter, CEO, CEO, CXO, whatever. But I had
Yeah.
again this responsibility to fulfill. So not from scratch, and yeah, we kept it lean. We kept pivoting as the product market fit improved. So sorry, asking scale of people. I don't know. If you look at manpower, a lot of people. For 2,500, we had moved. I think the business brought 200. At that time, if you count the drivers and the churn rate, to 400, 500 driver supervisors ही होंगे. But yeah, the central team was pretty lean. Like I said, we were focusing on processes from day one. We had fleet management software, charging management software, vehicle tracking software. So we were able to do processes properly,
Hmm.
asset handovers and all QCs. So you're running a pretty lean team. So it was not
Okay.
because the intent was to become. It was a very simple business model.
Okay.
It's like it's a wet lease, maybe not like NBFC kind of 2% overhead, but you have to run it at, if you want to have a view on the end state, you have to do that business with a 5% cost on your end. Otherwise, you'll not make money. So that's where the focus was always.
Okay. And about the investments, how much did you actually needed in the business to grow it and scale it?
So we started seriously scaling when we got our, you can say, second digit. I'll not say the exact number here. Double digit millions. Uh, then you know that you can really make those commitments to people that you're hiring, be it your head of
Yeah.
sales, be it head of fleet and all that. And you know that with that much money, if you have the discipline, even if they do not give you more money, you can still keep running the business.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they gave more money and they gave more targets. and things lost focus, and our paths diverged. I want to do bigger assets. They're focusing on more market penetration on smaller vehicles,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
that's where I moved on. So yeah. So sometimes
Understood.
because with money comes responsibilities.
Absolutely.
Life would have
Absolutely.
been good with that first check. I would have, made some profitable business out of it and returned eventually, even given them that return. But
Yeah.
see, what interesting thing that happens when you're a corporate investor, you're an incubated company within the same group, is that getting the first dollar is very difficult. Unlike you can raise a pre-seed or anything,
Yeah.
some angels who just spread across hundreds of startups. They like the idea, they can fund it. In corporates, it's very difficult to get the first dollar because if you get the first dollar, then you get the next, then nobody will stop the ball rolling. So they have to be very focused for the first one. So
Okay.
it's kind of irritating and painful, but yeah, that's part of the that's part of my experience with
Yeah.
it. But then once it starts rolling, like I said, you get your first 10, then you get the 20, then they want you to go 200, maybe more and more and more, right? Obviously, with the guardrails on targets and profitability.
And so I have seen you with a clear, like, I have seen you on calls where you would clear expectations and your communication with the investors are like very, uh, top of the game. So what do you suggest for founders who have already raised and now they have to live with that investor for next at least 5 to 10 years? So how to actually
Hmm.
manage those expectations in better way, even if because a lot of times you would not be even reaching those milestones as promised. How do you clear that out?
So I'm assuming you made an optimistic promise and you've now faced the harsh reality of life, and now you have toned it down to realistic, but you've already set the stone.
Yep.
And that doesn't happen just with startup founders. That also happen with investors, where the kind of commitments they've made to their LPs while raising that money that they'll get 35%, 40% IRR.
Yeah.
And it's ironical if I give them a 25% IRR, short business, they'll not invest because they promised 50%. Now this is short. They might as well put in somebody who's giving promising 100% go to zero. So that's the
Hmm.
kind of challenge. Similarly, expectations with current set of investors or new ones, I think managing expectations should not be seen as the prime. If somebody
Okay.
is really being irritating, is not unreasonable, is becoming being unreasonable, even with you've kind of opened up with candor that this is what happened. So a lot of times, no matter what you say, if somebody's inherently cynical, I think that was a bad choice to
Hmm.
begin with. Shouldn't take money from everyone. You have
Yeah.
to be selective there. See what his life choices are, and then take his money. Because morning, evening, you don't want that phone call on feedback. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and most startup founders don't listen to their parents that well. So might as well not get an investor with act like a parent. But if it comes to that, what happens is you stand your ground, and most importantly, I think you have to respect the money. If you respect the money and do your thing, you'll be
Yeah.
surprised how supportive people can be, right? But if you're being, you know, you cannot go by train like for a short journey. Let's say Delhi Chandigarh, you still have to go by a flight. You can't just drive down for that meeting and you're just bleeding that kind of cat. Okay, urgency, everything is fine, but there's not, applicable for everyone. Today, tomorrow, I might drive to Chandigarh, I might fly to Chandigarh. It's not a rule, but you get the sense of that you respect the money, and a
Yeah.
lot of conversations become much easier.
Yeah. So that takes me to the point where if you have multiple investors, what would you look for to say yes? What things would you try to align before saying yes to an investor?
that he's doing something else with his life, not just investing. If you're looking for a landlord or you're looking a house on rent, make sure rents is not his only business. He has a job, maybe preferably living in the US. So just kidding. Realistically kidding. Like there's no joke. It's just with a sense of humor. But if I have to select on what kind of investments they've made in the past, and so yeah, you'll know that filter. You'll know that filter. You should check for your compatibility, and then once you're compatible, you have to live with clarity. You don't have to sign everything on agreement, but I'll always recommend drop an email, even if nobody reads it. It clarifies your head, and after 1 year, you will not remember what was said. He'll not remember what was said, and then you don't want to become you said this, you said that. You'll have
Right.
a draft, an unread email that you can still refer to it. It has held. It has. There've been enough studies how we tend to forget things, why link things incorrectly, why do we value our effort more than our co-founder's effort or our team members' effort, so or our
Hmm.
wife's or our husband's efforts. So whatever whatever the relationship is. Similarly, so that clarity and that expectation calibration and recording it might help, and give regular updates. That's I think that anybody you are talking to must be saying the same thing. Don't keep them. Don't wait for them to ask. If you're running late for your work and your boss
Yeah.
calls you, where are you? You say, I'm just going to call you. I'm running 30 minutes late. No, that doesn't work. He called first. You lost. Even if it's all genuine, right? You get
Yeah.
all because you knew you'll get late before you started. You could just drop the message. So similar
Yeah.
thing. If you're finding something troublesome, and this is also a lot of times when your teammates don't tell you, you can solve that problem in one go. So okay, let me put another way. My team member is struggling with something for a week, 10 days, 15 days. He's saying everything is under control, but he doesn't want to look stupid
Hmm.
or like a failure. I don't
Yeah.
know, like whatever. But eventually it comes to the fore. So after 15 days, task hasn't been done. You've gone through 15 days. And now all it was needed was for you to know about this and you pick up the phone call and resolve it in 2 minutes. Because A, you have the experience or you might have the connections. So a lot of times as a founder also, यू आर अब तुमने बॉस बना ही लिया इन्वेस्टर को, तो उस तरह से बिहेव करोगे तो वही होगा. उसको मेंटर की तरह बनाओ कि फंस गया हूं मैं बॉस, मेरे को देखो इसका ये चैलेंज आ रहा है. डोंट
Hmm.
थिंक यू कैन सॉल्व एवरीथिंग इन लाइफ, राइट? सो अपडेट रेगुलर देने का मतलब ये भी है, मतलब जस्ट नहीं कि एक ईमेल भेज दिया, बट बीइंग बीइंग being aware that where somebody can help, where your limitations are also, and kind of seeking that advice. है ना, वरना एंड में तो फटेगा ही ना. अगर नहीं हो पाएगा तुमसे, हो जाएगा अच्छी बात है, बट तुमने फिर भी 15 दिन में हो भी जाता, जिसका एग्जाम्पल दे रहा हूँ,
Hmm.
उसने
Yeah.
15 दिन लगाया 2 मिनट के काम के लिए. इसका उल्टा
Hmm.
भी हर चीज के लिए उसके पास भी बच जाओ, तो आई अज्यूम इतना दिमाग सब में है. है ना, नहीं कहेगा
Hmm.
भाई मैं आ जाता हूँ, है ना, लेट मी बिकम द फाउंडर. तू 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 रहने दे, अगर मेरे को रोज ही तुम्हें सुबह शाम परेशान करना है तो, है ना. ठीक है, देयर इज
Yeah.
अ रीजन व्हाई दे आर इन्वेस्टर्स, राइट, ओनली फॉर
Hmm.
एस्केलेशन. ठीक है, so I hope that I answered that one.
Yeah. So basically, there has to be a balance and how you deal with the investor, of course. You can also look at them as mentors to help, not just a boss that you're reporting to. So that relationship can be,
Yeah. This is early
in a better
stage.
way.
Late stage, when you're talking VCs and all those things, that's organized capital. I'm not saying organized crime, they're saying organized capital. They'll have
Yeah.
their own, the army of people who want their updates, anyways. I don't think this advice, stands there. But by that time, you'll know how to manage those ones.
So if you have to, if you're, and you already are building in clean tech. So if you're building in clean energy sustainability space, and now you have to fundraise, because I know you have done fundraising successfully, you have been dealing with investors so much.
Mm-hmm.
What would be your approach to raise funds? And run your business after all those learnings that you have had from like so many businesses?
So if somebody asks me, am I raising money? Yes. Am I actively raising money? No. Right?
Okay.
Because there's always certain things that I can do. And if you should only raise money when it's really needed. Now, if you're a young guy, doesn't have any resources, just need to get that ball rolling, you need a friend and family kind of thing to hire those same people. But
Yeah.
if possible, be very sure when you want to raise money. I will pass on a thumb rule that a comment which turned into a thumb rule for me was do not solve investors, do not expect investor to solve the problems that you should be solving. It means investor
Yeah.
means money. Okay. If your business is a place where certain things can be done without money, you should do them.
Okay.
Now, let's say if I have to import X number of products from China and then build and integrate, certify, and to get the right price, I need to do a minimum order quantity for, let's say, a few crores. Then I need
Yeah.
that money. For prototyping, maybe not required. For maybe proof of concept, market validation, maybe not required. So when that is required and we're sure you've de-risked it as much as possible, right? Or so again, I'm leaning into clean energy, but if something else just requires money and you have to just start running, otherwise somebody will take the cake, right?
Yeah.
Or there's always this threat that you've been doing this, then somebody will raise $50 million and just steamroll over all of you who have been kind of trying to be lean, Abhishek. That's so stupid. I followed your advice. Now this X company is now taken the entire market.
Yeah.
Eventually, if I have to just humor that thought, eventually Geo will take over that person. So I can't solve for that. Right? So once the
Yeah.
market is seriously mature, banks are happy, then somebody will come with thousands of crores, not a few crores. So, but again, kind of it helps to not always have to keep looking what other people are doing, what they're pricing your product. If you understand what you're doing, you understand the value you're delivering, and you know
Yeah.
how to communicate it to the customers. I think looking at other people will only get you distracted. There's a very good company in solar long before us in the US, which saw that Solar City was doing so much, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Single fleet, big fleets, installing everywhere. And they were this marketplace kind of a player. So they changed, raised money, ran after this one, after these two guys who were already running ahead. And the market fundamentally shifted to the marketplace model where people wanted more customization. Let's say tomorrow solar is done.
Yeah.
Now that solar is done, 30 lakh, 40 lakh, 50 lakh. Now people say, okay, give me colored solar panels. Size it European for me. I want to differentiate that.
Yeah.
So I now understand the nuances of better quality or better generation, automated cleaning system. And then this company was like, shit, we only have one standard product offering now because we built for scale. So
Yeah.
just because they started looking at someone else, having a lot of fun and start running there. That happens across all aspects of our life, right?
Yeah.
Social media and all that. All the social pressures, they also come with a startup pressure, you can also say. Blinkit is doing Blinkit, Zepto is doing Zepto. Now Amazon
Yeah.
is also supposed to run the same way Big Basket is run. They're not doing that great a job, no?
Yeah.
So,
So, like, if you were fundraising and then you have to align some relevant investors for your clean energy business, how would
mhm.
you maybe approach them or hunt for them? What would be your
Yeah, yeah.
strategy to get them onboarded?
See, okay. Rather than going 10 years back and trying to remember on something that might not even be relevant today, let me see how I'm thinking right now. Today, you have these great tools if you know how to use them to improve your productivity, not make you lazy. So I would go to cloud cowork. I would feed in that this is my interest. Go research who else is there, and these are my priorities. This is my previous experience. If this has some value, there's my education qualification. Figure out those connects,
Yeah.
categorize between angels and slightly serious ones. Then you can brainstorm with that tool itself how to go about seeking them out. So
Hmm.
today you could be nurturing something that will help you in 2 years,
Right.
right? So, and because market will take its time, and that guy will only maybe write a check of 10 million. He can't write you a 100K check anyways.
Hmm.
But still, get his feedback, what you see back in the and keep engaging. And I think angel networks, sorry, VC and all these networks, they also have their own scouts. So one also, it kind of was started as a joke, but what I've also seen has some truth to it is when somebody asks me, how do you go, somebody asked me 10 years back, is how do you go find investors? And I don't find them, they find me, right? You
Yeah.
can be strategically placing your ads on Facebook where they go or LinkedIn and all that. So this inbound is much better than outbound. Anything. If
Absolutely.
somebody
Yeah.
reaches out, hey Abhishek, what are you building? Oh, now of course now you want to know, right? If I say, hey Usha, you want to know what I'm building? No, I don't have the time. Maybe tomorrow. Yeah, even whatever. But then, so that is also a strategy today that can be executed and with the marketing kind of a framework, but with some
Yeah.
some sort of brutal honesty about on your part also. It's not manipulating people here. That you make them come to you if possible.
Hmm.
You know,
Makes sense.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
and because they do invest, if they find something interesting and they get a sense that you're raising, they'll reach out,
Yeah.
right? And then it's obviously the network, not in networking network, their network from their network.
Yeah.
That also works. Yeah.
Got it. So one question that I ask all the guests on the podcast is
Hmm.
what was your biggest pivot point in whole of your journey that
Life,
changed everything forever?
my marriage.
I think that's true for
Mm.
most of
No,
people.
on see pivot point. Obviously, when you leave a job, you think it's the most difficult thing you've done, and then you realize that it's actually the easiest thing that you're going to do. Okay, sir, bye. That's where the fun starts. And so it's a grinding journey back up with your family, friends, everybody. It's not their dream. They'll rather have you work a corporate life, get paid, get sloshed on the weekend, and just do your duty and die. But when you start climbing up, it's very difficult for them to rationalize it to themselves, to other people around.
Yeah.
So that expectation management, I would say. I think the biggest pivot uh, is about being thick-skinned. Nothing beats that. Nothing beats that. If you can crack it, then your marriage is aligned, your parents are aligned, and you can do what needs to be done. You have to be sort of shameless that way, right?
Okay.
That is kind of a resilience. It's not like shameless. Also, it's not I can go and promote myself too much in forums and kind of be that outgoing person. But this is like the shameless in terms of like this is my life. This is what I want to do. And these are the reasonable aspects of it. I'll spend that time to explain it to you. But if you're still not understanding, I'll not take that pressure. That's on you.
Yeah.
So that was a very fundamental. I don't know, you can say pivot point, but no more nice guy, understanding real people, that people change, and all those aspects of life. Uh, Doing the difficult things at times. A first pivot
Yeah.
could be the first person you fire. And that changes you. You might be, you
Yeah.
might not. And it happened to us. We didn't really sleep well during that, both me and my co-founder. But ask me about firing someone today. I don't take pleasure in it, but I understand the fact that it is that person who's done it to himself. Yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
time, a lot of times. He's just hanging around, waiting to be fired because he doesn't have the guts to get fired, to quit. He's just hanging out because he's friends in the organization, or he just he's kind of mentally quit the job anyways. So why waste money?
Yeah.
So I think that's the pivot. Otherwise, businesses pivot all the time. It's that
Yeah.
one thing that made me do this again is I learned so many lessons. If I made, let's say, if I continued for a few more years, I could have retired with kind of if I don't upgrade my lifestyle, I could have retired, right?
Yeah.
So, but then I'll not be motivated to also kind of use those learnings, keep things low, lean, and basically all the learnings that you would that life taught you during your first startup. If you don't try again, so
Yeah.
like I was telling somebody, it's like your second relationship. If your first relationship is a success, ends up in marriage, you've kind of overcommitted a lot of things, and that you have to live with or painfully realign expectations.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, fortunately, you go through that heartbreak, but then you get into the next relationship. No, this I'm not going to commit to this, like come what may. So you get a more mature relationship the next time around. I'm not
Right.
saying your 30th marriage will be the best one. I think you're good with if you learn from the first. Like the biggest learning curve is the first one, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And similarly, first failure is good. You can't like okay, 30th startup fail. You also hear this word. He failed 17 times. No, that's not how it works. He tried 17 different things, different markets.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that's really like a 1 percentile, 0.1 percentile. But I think
Yeah.
most of the startup lessons, experience, no matter what I said, all this while, experience trumps knowledge. So hearing the things doesn't matter as much as doing it and learning it the hard way. Our parents
Yeah.
said, "Don't do this." We didn't believe them. Now we understand why they said this, and we say the same thing to our kids. Don't do this. But then we also, as parents, have to understand they will do their own shit and they learn their
Yeah.
own way.
Absolutely. And when you
So yeah.
said founders, they need to be thick-skinned because they get this pressure from all the way. Like once you have funding in and they have investors, from family to personal life to professional life to you have to give those salaries to employees. So, just be that adamant person कि नहीं मुझे करना है. I have thought about it and I really want to do it. So,
Right. And also to investors for that matter. Like, there's this very famous company that we all know about, and they have a very famous job portal as their early investors. But if this person had not stood his ground, his product would look like a classified ad from the beginning, instead of what we see it as and we love the product as such.
yeah,
So trivia, which company I'm talking about?
I think so.
So yeah, Zomato I'm talking about, and Naukri was the investor. So if
Yeah.
you if you if you have to have that stubbornness to follow through the vision of what you want to do.
Hmm. So,
So yeah.
uh, final question is because you have suggested, you are an avid reader, you have suggested so many good books to me and to the whole team at that time that have
Uh-huh.
changed literally how we think. So, right now, if you have to suggest three books to founders to,
Three books.
yes, because I know
Okay.
you will have a lot, but
Uh-huh.
like top
No,
three.
no. I was thinking, okay, if I have to say one. Okay. I think I mentioned one. Hard thing about hard things is a good read. I think it's a tough one, that ways, but then it gives you that support.
Okay.
I follow. So I read too much, so I don't know from where all the mix and mash. But broadly speaking, Stoicism, the philosophy of looking at things, you can also find similar things in Gita and all those things. So I'm not saying that, but that kind of works very well to align your uh, just raise awareness about your expectations and
Yeah.
mortality and whatnot. Right. Mm, a very okay. If I had to recommend one book, I would recommend 4,000 Weeks.
Okay.
Author name you can check. I should have known. Anyways, you just turn the page and you forget the author. My bad. So 4,000 Weeks is will fundamentally change how you see time.
Okay.
A lot of will make logical sense, but once you read it, it's all around you. We just how we've commoditized time, how we started selling our time. Why how time was never there as a concept
Yeah.
unless we needed your factories and all that stuff. So very interesting read. And then what do
Okay.
you do with your time? Do you do meaningful work or क्योंकि एक दिन तो मर ही जाना है, or you do hang out a lot with friends, have a lot of fun, party, but फिर भी एक दिन मर जाना है. So what are these 4,000 weeks what God has given? So I'll not no spoiler alerts here, but it'll give you a sense of what to do with your time. At least you see time in a different way than a stress causing, friction creating thing that it has become. Like you take a cigarette break and your boss is like, I'm paying him for this time. No, you're paying me for the work. No, bro. Why can't be task oriented? Why have become so time oriented? That's just the
Yeah.
start. Yeah.
Great. So,
All right.
any final thought to the founders, and then we'll wrap.
Ah. If you take this pill, you'll not be able to go back, just like Matrix. So be very clear. Don't do it just because everybody else is doing it. Because once you start on this journey, you will not be able to go back to your Monday to Friday job and your weekend delusions and happiness. You'll not be able to do it. So be very careful around it. It will fundamentally, that's your pivot point.
Yeah,
And I've
that
asked
was
this
really
question to
strong. Yeah.
multiple people, and everybody agrees. I've not still found somebody. They might crib once in a while, but you really, point them and will you
Yeah.
really go back, take the blue pill, or actually go be Matrix Smithy? No, I can't take that. So it's a lot more fun this side, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
Would you take a job, Usha, again?
I am not able to go back
uh,
to and take the blue pill.
yeah.
Yeah, because
ठीक है जी.
I think एक बार आपने वो रेड pill ले ली, so now you know कि you can do so many things. You can build a whole business around it, and that might or might not be successful, but there are chances.
ठीक है. What is success? You read stoicism with that. And what is time? You just have to have a reasonably good life. That's it. And your own life at your terms. If you control 20% of your life, that's good enough. 80% nobody controls. Most people don't control 99% of it.
Interesting. I'm definitely gonna give this 4,000 weeks a read.
Sure. चलो. फिर बताना
Yeah,
लास्ट में आंसर क्या मिला. और उसका आंसर ऐसा नहीं, लास्ट पेज
definitely.
देख लोगे, पेज तुम्हें पढ़ के ही पता चलेगा आंसर
नहीं,
क्या
नहीं,
है
yes,
ना. ठीक है.
yes,
ठीक है जी.
absolutely. So thank you so much. And
चलो, गुड
I,
कन्वर्सेशन
yes,
एंड
I think you
बेस्ट
shared a lot of valuable
बेस्ट ऑफ लक.
advice. Yes.
बेस्ट ऑफ लक.